Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
Thank you for tuning to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, where we discuss the latest news in Major League Baseball. As always, I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Ben. How's it going?
Yeah, man, the last show went so well. We had an action-packed show for you guys. Previous episode, and we got another one again.
Yeah, I talked about Alex Rodriguez. It was the last game with the Yankees. Mark Teixeira and Prince Fielder being forced to retire due to injuries, primarily. And talked about Ichiro Suzuki getting his 3,000th career Major League hit. And Brandon Crawford for the Giants having a historic night at the plate on Monday, going 7 of 8, one of only 3 players in baseball history to have 7 hits in a game.
Yeah, and of course we couldn't fit everything to one show. We're going to have a lot of news to discuss today and another action-packed show where we'll be talking about Tim Tebow. Yes, the former college and NFL quarterback is pursuing a Major League Baseball career. We will have pretty much a long discussion about that. And we're going to talk about Toronto Blue Jays placing Jose Bautista on the 15-day disabled list days after putting Kevin Pillar on the disabled list earlier this week as well, and how that affects the American League East race. And we will be discussing some series happening this weekend, as long as some pitching matchups.
Yeah, possibly. There's definitely some big series this week. One of them I look at is the Cardinals and the Cubs. Definitely the game that's going to get all the headlines is tomorrow's game between the Yankees and the Rays at A-Rod's last game as a Yankee.
And it remains to be seen how much playing time A-Rod will get. But we did talk about that in the previous episode. You guys can listen to that right after this one, which is another action-packed show. Well, we're going to be getting to some news about Tim Tebow. Yes, the former college and NFL quarterback is actively pursuing a professional baseball career. Tim Tebow plans to hold a workout for Major League Baseball teams later this month. According to his agents, Jimmy Sexton and Nick Kahn, for the past year, Tebow has been training in Arizona and Los Angeles, working on his hitting and fielding skills. Tebow has not played baseball in 11 years. 11 years, Ben.
Yeah, since high school. He had a good high school career as a baseball player. He was All-State. He hit .494 his junior year. Definitely has the experience. He's played organized baseball at some point. By taking an 11-year gap, obviously go to college, the NFL, and play quarterback, he went to Florida, so hasn't played 11 years organized baseball. I mean, it's going to be tough.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be tough. He's going to turn 29 this weekend. He hasn't played baseball in 11 years. I just don't know how he's going to adjust to the game. He hasn't played in a while, and Gary Sheffield did tweet that Tim Tebow is a natural hitter. Natural, like in all caps. All caps. And Sheffield said, the bat speed is there. The hitting is there. I just honestly think it all comes down how he, adjusts to minor league pitching and fielding. But I don't think he's going to have that much success right away. Because remember, multiple athletes have played 2 sports. You think about Bo Jackson, who was great in football and baseball, Deion Sanders, and of course, who can forget Michael Jordan trying to pursue a baseball career? Probably the greatest of all time in basketball, but he couldn't hit a baseball when he pursued.
Yeah, his best season for the Birmingham Barons AA team, he hit .202. Did Michael Jordan?
Yeah, and he just didn't have it. And did you happen to see the Adam Jones tweet regarding Tim Tebow?
No.
Adam Jones tweeted that he's like, well, after this MLB offseason, I'm going to try to pursue an NFL career. I haven't played since high school, but I played in a few Turkey Bowls since, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, like people are kind of making making fun of this. I think the whole thing when I look at this whole situation, I think of two things. Number one, I find it interesting that Tebow has been able to keep this out, keep from getting this out, under wraps. He's been training to do this for about a year now. I find it interesting that this has not been leaked because Tim Tebow, I'd say recently of the last 10 years, has been definitely the media darling of all sports, especially the NFL, college. It seems like everything he does, it was being covered by someone. So in order to keep this under wraps for about a year now, I think is obviously pretty hard to do. And I sort of congratulate them for doing that. I don't know if that's the way to put it. But anyway, so I look at Tim Tebow coming back. I think it's kind of silly. I think he's maybe trying to do it to stay in the limelight. He works for ESPN and the SEC Network as a college football analyst. I say he should just stick to that. I think he's just trying to put his name out there. Tim Tebow's been someone who has never really wanted to compromise at all. He didn't really succeed as an NFL quarterback. Teams thought about maybe bringing him in if he would change positions, if he would maybe go to Canada, be the CFL, be a quarterback there. He didn't want to do any of that. Now reports are is that Tebow's basically saying unless he gets to the majors, he's not going to look at this as being successful. So, I mean, I don't know. He hasn't played organized baseball in 11 years. It's hard to come back from that. If you look at Tebow, what did he really excel at with the NFL and football? He had a great heart. He had great passion for the game. He was really emotional. That stuff you really can't teach. Not necessarily stuff that gives you certain athleticism and certain skills. Baseball is more of a skill sport as opposed to, an athleticism sport like football. You can either hit the ball, you can either field the ball, or you can't. It's not necessarily how big you are, strong you are, anything like that. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see with his workout at the end of the month. But, I don't know.
And all 30 Major League Baseball teams will be there. And he actually did get a contract from a independent baseball team. The Schaumburg Boomers of the Frontier League offered him a contract after the news broke out. I don't think Tebow is going to sign that contract. He does want a career in the major league. And, of course, to get a major league career, you have to go in the minor leagues. But the thing is, though, do you see any team signing him to a minor league contract? This is the discussion I had with Alex on the football podcast. He might be a distraction for the single A team because he's probably going to go in the single A. Do you think it might be a distraction to the major league team, taking some media attention away? And I think he will take some media attention away from the major. Like, let's say the Cleveland Indians, for example. That's the example me, Alex, and I use on the football show. Let's say the Cleveland Indians signed him after the workout. He's going to get assigned to single A, and he's going to bring a lot of media attention to the single A team. Do you think the single A team will get more attention than the Cleveland Indians?
No.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you who the single A team is of any team, let alone, media attention. As far as Tebow goes, if he can play, teams are going to sign him. So we'll have to wait and see. Gary Sheffield's doing these tweets. Who knows the truth of that. We'll have to wait and see with the workout. If he can play, teams are going to sign him. If he can't play, I still think someone will sign him because they're going to get so much publicity from it. I could definitely see a team from Florida, i.e. the Tampa Bay Rays, Miami Marlins. I could definitely see one of those two teams being from Florida. Tebow is a Florida guy. Definitely signing him.
Just like Alex Rodriguez is.
Kind of. Putting him in single A, maybe double A. Regardless of how good or bad he is, you're going to sell tickets. Tebow's a Florida guy. I think regardless of how good or bad he is as a player, someone's going to sign him because they're going to get publicity for it. I don't think it really takes much of a distraction away from the major league team. Yeah, a reporter might ask how to the maybe, I don't know, I'm going to throw out the Marlins, the Miami Marlins GM or manager, how Tebow's doing in Double A, but I don't think that really takes anything away from the team because they're not with the team. They're a whole different state sometimes. So I don't think that really takes anything away, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see as far as this whole Tebow thing goes. I think it's just really silly that he's trying to do this.
And the thing about Tim Tebow trying to pursue a major league career is if he does sign a minor league contract, he's going to take a roster spot from a player who's been trying to get to the majors.
Right, someone who's been training their whole life to do this, not necessarily just coming back out of 11 years layoff out of nowhere. So, yeah, it's definitely, I think the players, if he can play, then I don't think there's going to be an issue. But if he can't play, the players are not going to like him. They're going to say, like, you don't belong here. You know, what are you doing here? Like, you don't belong here. Like, you're just trying to steal the limelight from people. Like, I have a career and a dream to play in the major leagues. I've been training for this my whole entire life as opposed to you who hasn't. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Everything determines on if he can really play or not, which I don't believe he can. Coming off 11-year layoff, getting up to speed with, like, do you think Tim Tebow can really hit Aroldis Chapman? Like,
no.
Come on, you know what I mean?
Really?
He's going to have to
Aroldis
face...
Chapman would smoke Tim Tebow.
Exactly. He's going to have to face power pitchers, have to face people with nasty breaking balls, changeups, etc. He's not a pitcher. He's going to be in the field playing something. So he's going to have to get up to speed with all this stuff, and I don't think that can happen.
Better question is, can Tim Tebow hit a baseball off Tim Lincecum? I think that's a better question.
I'm sure eventually he can. Tim Lincecum's having he's really
he got designated for assignment.
His career is basically over too. So I mean,
yeah, but
I don't know.
Tim
we'll
Lincecum has played in the Major League Baseball for his apparently some of his adult life, and Tim Tebow hasn't played in 11 years. That's why I brought the question up. Is that you got all these pitchers struggling?
I'll probably say no right now. Like,
I'll say no because
Lincecum's a former Cy Young Award winner.
He's a former Cy Young winner. He actually played baseball during those 11 years. Then Tim Tebow didn't play. But we'll update you guys on this news about Tim Tebow later this month here at the GSMC Baseball Podcast. And we're going to take our first break. First break, we'll be discussing Jose Bautista and the Toronto Blue Jays. Coming right up.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We have some games going on. The Astros have a 12-6 lead over the Twins. Jeremiah, Jose Altuve, another hit. He's 4 of 5 today.
4 of 5. Wow.
With 3 RBIs.
My gosh, the way that his career has evolutionized in a way, it's just amazing. He's the best hitter in the league right now.
I'd say so.
You can't pitch to him, It's just like he's just a beast with the bat.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's even hitting home runs this year.
Man, that's scary. I remember when the Houston Astros weren't doing so well a couple of years ago. There's some speculation and some internal talks reportedly about trading Jose Altuve from the Houston Astros, and pretty much worked out for him that they didn't trade him because he is transitioned to the best hitter in baseball, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. So they have a 12-6 lead over the Twins in the 8th inning. In the bottom of the 4th inning, the Rockies have a 6-3 lead over the Texas Rangers, as well as in the bottom of the 4th inning, the Brewers have a 5-0 lead over the Braves. Braves really struggling this year. We have a couple of games that have gone final as of recently. The Arizona Diamondbacks shut out the Mets 9-0, and we have another shutout, the Pittsburgh Pirates 4-0 over the Padres.
All right, so moving on, Jose Bautista has been placed on the 15-day disabled list by the Toronto Blue Jays due to a sprained left knee.
Yes. Jose Bautista really battling injuries all year. He had the issue with the turf toe, with the foot. So he's not really doing too well, and it shows. He's only played in 80 games. He's got 15 home runs, 48 RBIs. He's only hitting 222 as well. Yeah,
and he's a free agent after this season also. So I don't know. Do you see the Toronto Blue Jays re-signing Bautista with all the injury concerns, or do you see like any team taking a chance on Bautista with his injury concerns this year?
I mean, I guess it really depends on what the market value is for him, someone's going to sign him. He's 35 years old, so he won't get
He still has a lot of baseball left in him.
He won't get a super long deal. I could see him easily getting a 2, maybe 3-year deal from somebody. Definitely look at Jose Bautista over the past 4 or 5 seasons, just one of the best power hitters in the game. I think of that bat flip home run against the Rangers in last year's playoffs. So he's still very capable. He's having one of his worst seasons recently because he has been injured. So, I mean, as far as the Blue Jays go, I think that's a tough decision if they bring him back because they do still have a lot of power in that lineup. Edwin Encarnacion has 31 home runs and 94 RBIs. Josh Donaldson is always consistent. He's got 27 home runs. So, I mean, I don't really know about Bautista staying with the Blue Jays after this year.
Yeah, and, this Blue Jays lineup has so much talent. It doesn't really, I wouldn't say it doesn't need, but they'll be fine without Jose Bautista. How Bautista hurt his knee, he stumbled and fell while attempting to make a throw from right field in the 3rd inning of the Blue Jays' 9-2 loss to Tampa Bay Rays on Tuesday. And Bautista did finish the game, but his knee worsened overnight. That led to an MRI on Wednesday that confirmed a grade 1 strain. Bautista did call the injury extremely frustrating, and it was looking like he was about to go on a hot streak also. He had 3 home runs in his last 12 games. He got 4 hits in his past 11 at-bats, which is very unfortunate for a team that's in a tight American League East race right now with the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, so the Rays, or I'm sorry, not the Rays, the Jays. So the Blue Jays still do have that lead in the AL East. They only have a 1-game lead over the Orioles, 2.5-game lead over the Red Sox. Regardless of really who wins that division, the other team, in my opinion, between the Orioles and the Jays is going to get at least a wild card spot. So even with Joey Bats out of the lineup on the DL, I think the Blue Jays are going to be okay. They have a couple of good, strong pitchers in J.A. Happ. He's the first guy in the majors to win 16 games, as well as Aaron Sanchez, who we talked about last week, having not lost since April. So those two are really carrying them in the pitching side. And then hitting, we mentioned Encarnacion and Donaldson. So I think the Blue Jays are going to be okay. Obviously, you want to have a guy like Bautista in your lineup, a guy who's capable of hitting a home run anytime he steps up to the plate. But he's really struggled this year with injuries. I think the Blue Jays probably don't bring him back after this year because he's going to demand a lot of money. He's been such a good player. But I think the Blue Jays this year are going to be just fine.
Well, another reason why I don't think the Blue Jays will bring back Jose Bautista is because of Dalton Pompey, their prospect in AAA Buffalo right now, who many thought they were going to bring him up due to the Bautista injury and the injury to Kevin Pillar, who also got placed on disabled list this week to a sprained left thumb. I don't know what it's going to take for them to bring up Pompey, but I think that's one of the reasons why I don't think they'll bring him back. And Bautista, he's not having a good year statistically.
No,
he's not having a good year, but he still does have some baseball left in him. The Blue Jays they're also going to get Ezekiel Carrera, one of their utility outfielders, back later this week, and this lineup still has loads of talent. The Blue Jays have only won 2 of their past 5 games. They currently do have a 1-game league in the AL East race. If the Blue Jays don't get Bautista back when eligible, I think they'll bring up Dalton Pompey later this season, because you're gonna have a lot of rotation of outfielders trying to replace. I shouldn't say replace, but trying to fill that void in a way of Jose Bautista.
Yeah, I think they're still looking good for the AL East. I mean, in general, in the American League, I think the team to beat is the Rangers with all their trade deadline moves of Lucroy and Beltran. I think the Indians are probably second, so I give the Blue Jays probably that number 3 spot in the AL. As far as making the playoffs, I think they're going to be fine, but they're going to need Bautista to compete against some of these other teams like the Indians.
In October.
Right. The Indians really good starting pitching. Once they get Danny Salazar back from the deal as well, it'll be a lot better. The Rangers, not necessarily a strong pitching side, but their offense is incredible. So I think they're going to definitely have the advantage of getting Bautista back if he can come back healthy. I think they'll be okay without him, but they're going to need him if they're going to make any noise come postseason time.
No, I totally agree. They're going to need Bautista to make an impact in October, because you're going to go against the Texas Rangers, who have just as good as a lineup as the Blue Jays do, and they have really solid pitching. Cleveland Indians, probably the best pitching rotation in the American League, arguably maybe all of baseball, and of course you're going to have some wild card teams Baltimore Orioles, possibly the Boston Red Sox, the Detroit Tigers in there. Yeah, they're going to need Jose Bautista, his bat, honestly, in October. And we'll update you guys on the Blue Jays and Jose Bautista on the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. But we're going to take our last and final break, and Ben and I will preview some series this weekend, possibly some pitching matchups, and teams to watch this weekend.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back into the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. Jeremiah and myself are going to end the show today previewing this weekend series of games all across the Major League Baseball schedule. So really the big one, I guess not necessarily the whole weekend, but for tomorrow is going to be the Tampa Bay Rays and the Yankees series. It is in New York, so the Yankees are the home team in that series. For tomorrow's going to be A-Rod's last game as a Yankee. I think they'll probably play him all game.
So you think he's going to start?
Yeah, I think he'll probably be the DH all game. So get at least 3, maybe 4 at-bats. So that game is going to feature CC Sabathia on the mound for the Yankees. So guy kind of like A-Rod, who signed a monster contract for the Yankees and then did great and has really struggled recently, so he's getting up there in age. But is there any other series over this weekend, maybe any pitching matchups that you're really looking forward to?
Well, series this weekend that I'm really looking forward to, one of them is the St. Louis Cardinals at the Chicago Cubs.
I agree.
Cubs have a 12-game league in the American National League Central over St. Louis, but Cardinals are tied for the second wildcard spot with the Miami Marlins, so this is a very important series for both teams. Chicago trying to keep the best record in Major League Baseball. Cardinals trying to get a playoff berth here. And Luke Weaver will make his first start for the Cardinals on Saturday against Kyle Hendricks of the Cubs. So
yeah,
that's one pitching match I'm looking forward to.
And for the game on Friday, another great pitching matchup, Adam Wainwright for the Cardinals and Jake Arrieta of the Cubs. Two guys who have had great seasons. Arrieta, last year's NL Cy Young Award winner, just really got off to a great start this year, but has kind of struggled lately. And Wainwright's been really consistent for the Cardinals, even
he actually did start. He had a rough start to the season. Wainwright did.
Right, but yeah. Wainwright's been so consistent for the Cardinals over the years, and even when he was their closer at one point when they won the World Series. So that's just one matchup I really look forward to. There's like so many great matchups, a lot of big important ones. I guess another one I kind of think could be sort of impactful is we just talked about the Blue Jays. They're battling in that AL East. They're going up against the Astros this weekend. The Astros are a great offense. You saw what they did to the Twins earlier today. They have 12 runs already. So that's another series I think could be pretty impactful.
Yeah, Astros are 3.5 games back in the wild card race, and Blue Jays do lead the American League East by 1 game over Baltimore. And that is actually another series I'm actually really intrigued to watch because this is a very important series for both teams. Houston trying to get some ground here in the wild card race. Toronto trying to keep the league in American East race. So this is definitely one series I'm looking forward to watch. Another one is the Detroit Tigers at the Texas Rangers. Detroit is only a half game back in the wild card race in the American League. Texas leads the American League West by 7 games, and Detroit also is 3.5 games back of the American League Central, which is led by the Cleveland Indians. So this is another matchup I'm looking forward to watch this weekend.
Yeah, the Indians will be battling the Los Angeles Angels this weekend. So I guess the last series for me that kind of sort of stands out to me is the Orioles and the Giants. So it's going to be a series out here on the West Coast. So the Orioles will have to deal with their pitcher hitting, something they're not accustomed to with the DH rule. But the Orioles still battling, only a game back in the AL East, and the Giants just struggling since the All-Star break, only a game up over the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are a team pretty much everyone, including Jeremiah and myself, thought would really struggle without Kershaw, but they're still doing quite well, and the Giants are really helping them out by not really doing too well.
Yeah, and the thing about this game is on Saturday's game, Giants legend and Hall of Famer Gaylord Perry will have a statue unveiled at 18 Team Park before the game. So that's something that I want to share.
I didn't even know that. So, yeah. I mean, I guess that's good.
It was announced around, I think, like March or February around, I believe. But, yeah, it's something that I wanted to address there with the current statues they have there at the stadium. You know, they got the Willie McCovey, Willie Mays, and all that. But another series on the West Coast here is Pittsburgh at the Los Angeles Dodgers. Pittsburgh is 2.5 games back of the wild card race in the National League. The Dodgers lead the wild card race by 4 games, but are also 1 game back of the San Francisco Giants and the National League West. So these are 2 matchups that I'm very intrigued to watch. The San Francisco Giants do have kind of an advantage over Baltimore because, you know, they don't have the DH there. So Baltimore's going to have to adjust to that pitch hitting in a National League ballpark. But, yeah, those are all the matches I'm looking forward to watch. What about you, Ben? Do you have anything else you want to...
Nothing really that stands out as far as playoff races go. You know, I mean, with the Dodgers, I find that so interesting the second half of the season, how the Giants have struggled. You could say the Dodgers could be in first place in the NL West all of a sudden. And I thought that would really never happen. The Giants at one point had a 6-7 game lead.
They look like the best team in baseball at one point of the year.
Yeah, right before the All-Star break. And I would have thought there was no chance in the world that the Dodgers would be able to compete like they are. Obviously, the Giants helping them out, not winning games as we all thought they would. So they're getting some help, but still, I mean, they're just kind of doing what they have to and getting it done. I just find that really, really interesting. I think that both teams will definitely be playoff teams, depending on who wins the division and who doesn't. Really left to really decide who the best month and a half of the season.
So one of them will make the wild card.
Guaranteed, yeah. I think so. The Dodgers currently have a 4-game lead on the wild card, so technically that means with the 1 game behind the Giants would have a 5-game lead as it stands right now on the wild card. So I think regardless, both teams will be in the playoffs. Obviously, you don't want to be that wild card team because you have that wild card 1-game playoff. If you're the division winner, you have at least a series to fall back on. So, I mean, I think the Giants will still somehow get it done. I still think they're a better team.
The better pitching rotation.
I still think they're a better team than the Dodgers, but I mean, they're playing so terribly. We really don't know what to expect.
Yeah, and the pitching for the San Francisco Giants has pitched a lot better this week, especially in yesterday's 1-0 game. And it'll be interesting to see what all these teams will do this weekend as the playoff race is heating up. Well, that concludes our show, Ben.
Yes, it does.
Our last one of the week. For me and you, actually. Me and you, this is the last show we do.
Yeah, we had just a huge week of baseball.
We
just
did.
A number of storylines. A-Rod, Tebow, Teixeira, Fielder, Ichiro, Brandon Crawford. You know, everything we talked about, the list goes on and on. It was a great week for baseball.
It was a busy week. Let's just say
very
that.
busy, very busy.
Busy week. But, hey, thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. You can listen to our show on a variety of platforms such as iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, and as well at GSMCpodcast.com. You can listen to my football show that I do with Alex. You can listen to Ben's soccer and sports show, who he also does the show with Alex.
Yeah, soccer, a big week in soccer. We have the Premier League starting this Saturday. We have League One in France starting on Friday. And then we have the Olympics going on right now, men's and women's soccer.
Yes, indeed. And we got the NFL preseason starting, so it's also a busy week for both of us, in my opinion.
Definitely.
And you can follow the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast on Twitter at GSMC_baseball, and as well as on Instagram at the same handle, that is at GSMC_baseball. You can like us on Facebook at the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. And did I forget anything?
I think you got them all covered. I think you did you always do a good job of doing that. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Well, you're welcome.
I think it's the best part of the show because it's the end of the show. Because
I think the best part is when we're talking because I never want to end the show. Unfortunately, we do have to because our time is limited.
Yeah,
so.
we're actually right on schedule actually. So yeah, we're gonna get out of here, you guys, and you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy some baseball out there, guys. Enjoy some baseball and get out to the ballpark.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to thank you for listening again, and we hope you have a good week. We'll see you next week.